3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello and welcome to Dialogue Alley, the official Potter Collector podcast about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I'm Melanie.
I'm Carly.
I'm Peter.
And I'm Erik.
And the 4 of us are Harry Potter book translation collectors. We collect Harry Potter books from all over the world, and we are here on our podcast talking about those books. We have so much to talk to you guys about today. It is a jam-packed news episode because there's so much to update everybody on. So for season 4, episode 23 of this podcast, that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk about all the news in the Harry Potter book collecting, wizarding world. That's what we're doing today.
I love it.
All right, so the music plays now.
No, it's like, I thought it was like, I thought you were gonna do like the news music where it was like, beep, 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 beep. This just in.
Yeah, as Mel said.
We gotta get into it. There's so much.
Okay, so as Mel said, there is a ton of news. I mean, from Universal Studios' Wizarding World of Harry Potter, to the New York store, to the HBO Max TV show that's going to be coming out, to the artwork that just sold today. If you don't know what that is, we're going to tell you all about it. To, and I think the most important news, which we should probably start with first, Erik has some big collecting news. He has just acquired a dream book.
Well, it is a dream. Really. And I'm Erik. And yeah, I've always had it on the back burner that I collect translations, but I would like some of the other notable things. And everyone knows that I don't really care if books are in the best condition or not, because my book area is more like, not like a book hospital, because I don't ever like cure them, but it's more of like a book sanctuary where books can come and live out the rest of their lives without fear of being destroyed or, I don't know, faded by the sun. It's a very safe place for books to live and thrive. Or restored. I did get the Macedonian one. I did have someone like do stuff to it so it doesn't deteriorate anymore. But anyway, I did, with the help of David from our Discord, I did win an auction for a first soft cover Philosopher's Stone from the UK. So that's awesome. I've always wanted one of the day one books. That's what I call them. I throw that term around all the time. The day one books, and they're all like, "Yeah, I know what you're talking about." But no, I paid what I wanted to pay for it. Like Peter mentioned, or actually he didn't mention here yet, but on your video that you just posted about the painting that just sold. When there are auctions that aren't on eBay, there are buyer's premiums. So whatever your maximum bid is, you do need to allow room for that buyer's premium. So in my case, it was around like $200. So that, it's nothing compared to the painting that just sold. But it's very different than eBay, where like you pick a maximum and like that's what you pay. Like here, you pay your maximum plus the buyer's premium, plus you have to arrange to ship it and pay for the shipping. So I was very thankful that David was able to help me with that. He navigates auctions very well. He's participated in a lot of them. He was able to bid on my behalf because I'm home watching my children all summer because I'm a school teacher. And I did watch the auction live, but, as my kids are like wanting more goldfish and stuff. So, that was very, very exciting. So that book should actually arrive tomorrow. Tonight's Wednesday. Tomorrow should be Thursday, if the calendar goes how it should. And hopefully it arrives tomorrow and I can go pick it up, because David also conveniently lives in the Twin Cities area of Minnesota. So that's my big news. I'm very, very excited. That is probably the last, I don't want to say big money book, because it's, in terms of money with the painting. It's not big money, but I didn't anticipate spending that much on something else because I have all the translations that I want to get, but I really do like that this book is coming to me and it's not in great condition, and that's okay with me because I will protect it from falling into just throwawayable condition, which is really important to me to keep these books preserved, which is awesome.
So what I was going to say, I'm glad you talked about the condition. I was going to say it's a cute book. It is. It's like a cute book because it's been loved so much. I love the books that are not in great condition because they're loved. You know, think of how many people became Harry Potter fans because they read that book, you know? I love that little thought. So my this reminds me of my first printing copy of Philosopher's Stone actually came from a school teacher's personal classroom library, and it's in good condition. And just think of all the school kids over the however many years that he had this book in the library that became Harry Potter fans or learned how to read, or just helps their imagination to grow. I love stories like that and rough condition books.
They're anytime I see Harry Potter books at my school or any other schools I visit, I always look to see what's the oldest book in the library, and there's a first American Chamber of Secrets, and that book is just trashed in one of the fourth grade classrooms. And it's trashed because, like you just said, so many kids have read this book, and that might have been the first time they read Chamber of Secrets, which is awesome. And that also leads me to the advanced readers edition of Sorcerer's Stone that I have. The kids loved it so much. One kid wrote his name in it, and then the other kid crossed the other brother's name off and then wrote his name underneath it so that it's his now.
That's awesome.
So I just love that because to me still condition books that are in fine condition are amazing. They really are incredible. But part of why I like collecting these books is because you get to kind of have that history of the book and the journey that it's been on up until it comes to you. And I really do like, as a teacher especially, that promotes reading, especially in your home language, when I get some of these other translations that you can just tell have been loved so much, that really just makes me happy that someone has enjoyed it, and now it can go off to retirement in my basement and live its life as a still intact book and not wind up in 4 pieces in a dumpster somewhere.
Love it. I love it.
Yep.
So since we're talking about Philosopher's Stone, why don't we jump to the news today? Well, actually, today is the 27th year anniversary. I think it's 27th year anniversary of the release of Philosopher's Stone. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was released June 26th of 1997. And today at Sotheby's auction, the Philosopher's Stone cover artwork, the original cover artwork by Thomas Taylor, was auctioned off. The pre-sale estimate was $400,000 to $600,000. It sold in 2001 for, I think it was 89 or 88 or 87 or 86 or 85, whatever, £1,000. So quite a big jump comparing what it sold for to the pre-sale estimate. I watched the auction live. No, I did not bid. I don't think any of us bid on it. Did any of us buy it and just secretly just not telling anyone?
No, can't say I did.
So the auction started, and I have a video of my reaction watching the whole thing on my Instagram, and I was nervous it wasn't even going to sell because bids weren't coming in, and then they started to slowly come in. Anyway, long story short, it sold, the hammer price, it sold for $1.6 million. $1 million over the top pre-sale estimate. But
Wow.
as Erik said,
Crazy.
with live auctions, you pay a buyer's premium. And so that's, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Erik, because if you're ever going to purchase a Harry Potter book or really anything at a live auction house, you have to factor in that buyer premium on top of your top bid, because that could really mess you up if you're bidding high on something and then it's like, oh my goodness, I have to pay $200-$300 more. So just make sure that's factored in. But with the buyer's premium, the Philosopher's Stone artwork sold for $1,920,000.
That's
Crazy.
incredible.
It is incredible.
Think of the shipping on that.
Oh yeah. Who knows?
Or is that like a you go to New York City and you pick it up in person and like you just hug it the whole
That's
time
what I
on the
would
way
do.
home? That's what I would do.
In a
Yeah.
locked
I don't-
briefcase with handcuffs around your wrist and armed guard, like.
Yeah,
You would need
seriously.
like five decoys, like have 5 friends
yeah.
go with you,
Oh, yeah.
each with their own suitcase.
All dressed up as you.
Yes,
Yeah.
like in book
Wait,
7.
just I don't know. I
Yeah.
was gonna say, wait, isn't that a plot point in the Harry Potter books?
It is.
Yeah, oh, yeah, there you
Exactly.
go. Exactly.
I know.
So we don't know who purchased it. Hopefully that news comes out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does. Like for example, when the first auction, it's the first time we saw Beetle the Bard, one of the 7 that J.K. Rowling hand wrote. The first time we saw one of those was at auction, and we found out that Amazon purchased it. So there were internet bidders up until I think about $700,000 or $800,000, and then it switched to phone bidders. So the phone bidders, those are like the serious buyers. Those are the companies. Like Warner Brothers isn't going to go online and bid. They're going to be on the phone to bid. So it could potentially be a large company like Warner Brothers or Bloomsbury purchasing the artwork. I know that they
Or
have.
museum.
Or it could be a museum, or it could be a
Yeah.
rich private collector. It's like we don't know, but I'm hoping that it's someone or some company that is going to, make it public and allow the artwork to tour around, because it's. I wish I had time when I was in New York to stay until it. I left like 3 days before it was going to be displayed, so I missed seeing it, unfortunately. But hopefully it went to a company that's going to use it and share it with the world.
Well, I know within the past week, 2 people in our Discord actually went and saw it in person.
Yeah.
Patricio saw it like 2 days ago, and then Brian saw it about a week ago, which was amazing. And I think Patricio actually, there was the Tale of Beetle the Bard, and they let him hold it and like flick through it.
Brian too.
Oh,
Brian too.
wow.
Like,
And I was like, yeah, Brian too.
Yeah.
And I said, Patricio, how did they let you do that? And he goes, I asked. I was like,
it's
oh,
wow.
amazing.
okay.
I was so
Amazing.
jealous. I was so jealous.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. So there's some that just shows how strong just the Harry Potter fandom is right now, and just Harry Potter collectibles and their value. We have a really cool fandom and
We do.
and hobby.
It'll be interesting to see how that art's selling for that price point, if that'll help other Harry Potter markets get like their price points go up or fluctuate. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know exactly what you're saying. Yep.
even though like I've got like the one art piece that I got from Giles, but it would be interesting to see if that has any effect on the book collecting market, let's say, which is already, quite doing quite well, but it'll be interesting to see how that may affect other Harry Potter markets.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. So within this auction, this is Sotheby's is auctioning off a private collector's collection, and I think it's broken into, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it was just today that it was his collection, and then they're having another auction in a couple of days for someone else's collection or whatever. But the Beetle the Bard and there's a fine copy, might be VG Plus or something, of hardcover Philosopher's Stone. That's going to be for sale. So it'll be interesting to see how that does after the sale of the cover artwork.
Especially
So
on
that'll
the
be fun to
tails of
watch.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
in the auction that I got my soft cover first edition, there was a hardcover that went right before it. It was like the right before, and it sold for like, I can't remember, £60,000 or something.
Wow.
Like way more than what I paid for mine. But it was hilarious because like that auction went for like, I don't know, 5 minutes, and there were a lot of bids, and it started really low and it wound up really high. And I was like, oh no, is someone going to be like, I missed out, I'm going to go for the other one instead? And there were 2 bids. It was like, here's the starting bid. Anyone want to beat it? And then like David bid for us, and then it was like, okay, sold. And I was like, oh, that was quick. That was it.
No.
It was amazing. Just
Live
at the
auctions-
demand of like the first one, and then it's also like a first edition. I'm not saying it's equally as rare, it's not as sought after, but it was just crazy to me how many people were bidding on this first book, and then the second one that came along, like nobody. It was crazy.
Yeah.
You never know.
It's crazy with live auctions. You never know who's going to be there. Sometimes you get crazy deals. Like sometimes you get really, really lucky. So they're worth bidding in, even if you think you're not going to get something. And sometimes even if the estimate is high, that's not always the reserve. So if it's, a lot of times, the estimate kind of gives you an idea of what the reserve might be for an item, but sometimes there's no reserve, so it's worth bidding. And if you don't win, you don't win. But if you do, you win.
If you do, you win.
Yeah.
If you win, you're a winner. If you lose,
yes,
You're not a
we'll see
winner.
what happens. We'll see what happens with this.
Yeah, it'll be
do we know
interesting
when that
to watch.
auction is?
I think it's tomorrow. No, Friday. I think it's Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Friday. So that'll be fun to watch. So yeah, let's move over to Orlando, Florida. Universal
I was gonna
Studios,
say,
Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Speaking of fun to watch, Peter. Speaking of fun to watch,
What? Oh yeah. I got it. I just got it.
there's some shows
Went over my head. Just went over
in
my head.
Orlando.
What?
Oh goodness.
What? Come on. I mean, you guys are like the punny ones. You are the very clever ones. Things go over my head. Just like that. Things go over my head just like Universal's new drone show. Oh, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud. So Universal and Wizarding World of Harry Potter, there are two new nighttime spectaculars and shows. One is called CineSational. That is at the Universal Studios side. It's not in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and it's kind of a show that features Universal movies, so Jurassic Park and Transformers and just things that are at Universal Studios, The Mummy, but there is a Harry Potter section in that, and it's a fountain show. They have giant fountain screens that they project onto. Their fireworks, and then for the first time, Universal has started implementing drones into the show, which make really fun shapes based on the movie that they're showing. So there's a full video of both this one and the next show we're going to talk about on the Potter Collector channel. If you would like to see them, if you're going to be going to Universal Studios, I would suggest you just wait and see them in person because they're spectacular. But the second show, Hogwarts Always, is a new projection show on Hogwarts Castle with a few fireworks at the end. But what's fun about this one is there's kind of like a house cup section, and every show a different house wins. So you may not see the same show every time you see it. So Hufflepuff might win, or Ravenclaw, or Gryffindor, or Slytherin. And there's
it's a tie.
rumor. You what?
Or it's a tie.
There's no tie.
Everyone
Dumbledore
wins.
always gives someone the house cup. So there's never a tie.
I wonder
Unfortunately.
wonder what the tie-breaking procedure would really be, though.
Yeah, I wonder.
Like, because
Dumbledore would be like, someone tell me a joke. He'd be like, and whichever one's funnier is going to win the house cup.
I'm thinking of a number 1 to a million. Whoever's closest gets 1 point.
Tell a joke, and however tall my lip gets with a smirk wins. However many centimeters my something. Yeah, Dumbledore's crazy.
Whoever ate the most dessert. Gets
pumpkin pasties.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, but there's a rumor that there's going to be some way that Universal is going to implement, however many house members are currently watching that show, if there's going to be some sort of way that it calculates who wins based on however many people are watching the show, which would be interesting. Which would probably mean Gryffindor will win all the time because, half the people there are probably not super Harry Potter fans and they're just going to say Gryffindor. So it might not end up working out, but that's the rumor of what's going to happen.
At Disney, they had a Disney Play app before Star Wars Land opened, and they beta tested it. There were a couple different adventures. There was like a Kim Possible thing. Do you guys remember this? And then there was like one in Adventureland.
No.
But essentially, like, you would do things throughout the day, and you'd pick, you know, like a team or something, and at the end of the day, they would have some sort of like reveal on which team won, and so, you know, based on who was participating that day or which team did the most tasks, like, they would feature that team in the little ceremony or show at the end. So I could totally see them doing something similar to that, where if it's some sort of interactive daytime thing, or like you said, like you check in, like which houses you are, you know, watching the show, or I don't know.
Yeah,
that would
really
be really
cool.
cool though to have it influenced in some way, unless, however, it's always Gryffindor, which would not be fun.
Would not be fun at all.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you were to see, like, if you're going to Universal Studios and you're going to see CineSational, just to go back like a little bit, like, where would you recommend in the park is like the best spot to view it?
So
Because obviously if it's in like the little lake, you know.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, it's in that little lake area, and what's really sad is, so I saw a preview of it, and then I saw the premiere of it the next night, and there were people all around the lagoon or the little lake. You only see it from the Central Park area. So there's
From,
this
like, the
kind
front.
of park, and it's called Central Park, and it was sad for the people who were on the other side because they couldn't really see anything, or the people on the side, so that one of the sides or the back, they couldn't see anything. So you really have to be in Central Park to see it. Really any
Which is that
area,
like where like Transformers is, or like Mel's
So it's-
Diner, like that kind of area?
That's opposite. That's the other. So other side. Yeah. So Mel's Diner is kind of on one of the sides, like the far side of the lake. Transformers, where that is, that's the back. You don't want to be there because
Don't
you
wanna
won't
be
see
there.
anything.
So you want to
be on the
so,
opposite
like,
side.
Like Men in Black?
No. So that would be the other end of the lake. So you want
So
to be
Night Bus?
No, that would be the wrong side. So Central Park, Central Park. You know where the
Why
Back to
don't
the
I-
Future train is located?
Yeah.
So the Back to the Future train area, Central Park. Look for Central Park or ask for
So like if
Central
you're
Park.
going to E.T.
Yes, out towards that. Yes, you're on the right side.
that way.
Yeah.
So if you're at the Night Bus, you're in the completely wrong spot. Like you want to
Yeah,
be
you won't
like
see
kind of where
anything.
E.T. is.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's like you're going to
You might
ET.
see a firework or two.
So like going from Simpsons to Exit, the theme park, like that's the side you want to be on.
Okay.
And in Central
Okay.
Park. Yeah. And you'll see
Got
like
it.
the little fountains tubes sticking out of the water and everything, and
Okay.
but yeah, definitely want to be in Central Park to watch it.
Got it.
How
Got it.
if you went to the one on Hogwarts Castle, like how soon before the show would you recommend people get there? Because that area gets pretty crowded.
What's great about the Hogwarts Castle show, or Hogwarts Always, is they play it every like 25 or 30 minutes. So once it gets dark, they show it and they play it until the park closes. So the last showing is when the park closes. So the least crowded is closing. So if you don't want to be shoved and pushed and, be in a mass amount of people, wait until the final show.
There's like one
with-
guy standing there, and they're like, Hufflepuff
exactly.
wins, and he's like, yes!
Yes! But CineSational, that's just one show. So there are
Got
not
it.
multiple shows of that. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's another experience. Now we're moving to New York City, the Harry Potter store in New York City. There is a new Greenscreen Broomstick experience where you hop onto a broomstick, a firebolt, and they record you. Oh, the Big Apple. Now I see. Got it. Okay. So Erik was showing. We on the Discord we have like our webcams open so we can see each other, and he was showing me this apple soda, and then he was like big. He was making like big
In the
movements
Big
with his
Apple.
arms. The Big Apple, New York City. The The Big Apple.
Amazing.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. So there's a new Broomstick green screen experience where you do like a 1-minute video of you flying through London and, over through Scotland and on the bridge and over the Black Lake and finally to Hogwarts Castle. But then they take some pictures of you as well and superimpose you or put some backgrounds over you or behind you. And yeah, it's a fun new experience. The sad thing is the VR experiences, which Mel witnessed with me and by yourself, but we witnessed it together. They were spectacular.
So
and
fun.
They took both out. I don't know why they took both out. Why not leave just one and do the Broomstick green screen experience? So that's sad. This is going to be a big moneymaker for the Harry Potter store, and it's fun. It's a great souvenir. I mean, the video is kind of cheesy, but also fun. But the photos, that's what I like the most personally. I like the photos. I think they're cool. But I wish they had just kept at least one of the VR experiences.
I know. Especially because the VRs were in 2 completely different locations within the store. So you would think that they'd be able to keep just one. Where did they end up putting this photo thing?
Where Flight was. The Flight VR. Yeah.
Which I don't know. I still even to this day have a hard time choosing which VR I liked better because I loved the flying on the broom. I thought it was so cool, but the actual walking through Hogwarts and using a wand and that sort of thing was so cool. I don't know why they wouldn't keep that. I just think that it's
agree.
So sad.
It was so good. It was so good.
You think it was it a capacity issue? Do you think they can just get more people through the Broomstick?
Yeah, they can. They've got 3 stalls. It takes all of 2 minutes. So it's a
I guess I would make more money doing that.
But just kind of sad.
What's the price of that compared to the VR experience?
They actually haven't announced the price of it, so I think you have to go to the store to find out what the price is. But the VR was $35.
$35 a person.
Totally worth it.
I would imagine
every penny, and especially if you do both. Most of the time, anytime I would go and I would I'd bring my friends and be we have to do this. It's such a cool experience, blah, blah, blah. We would book both. So that's $70, per person each time you go. That's, I don't know, it's a good amount of money. And they have people throughout the store that are that would advertise it. And I remember when it first came out, it was sold out for weeks. You couldn't do it a lot of the times. You had to book weeks in advance if you wanted and plan your whole day around the VR experience. So just what a bummer.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It is. I hope the reason they switched it was not because it's more cost effective to have this Broomstick experience. I hope or operational cost in general or technology. I don't know. I hope they're just keeping it fresh, and maybe this will go away in a couple years and they'll put something new in, which gives people another reason to go back. But yeah, I heard nothing but cool things about the VR experiences. So I'm kind of bummed out that I won't ever get to experience them unless they bring them back, which seems unlikely. But me personally, I would have rather tried the VR thing than get a picture of me on a broomstick. But that's just me. But now I won't get to make that choice. They've made the choice for me.
So then the last bit of just Harry Potter news also came out today. We have news about the Max TV show, this TV series that's going to be released. The rumor or kind of estimate of when it's going to be released is sometime in 2026. But they've announced the director as well as the showrunner or writer of the series. So the showrunner is Francesca Gardner. And she's, worked on shows like Succession and a bunch of other shows. No show that I've actually seen, so I now have to watch the shows to see if I like her writing. But I don't think she would have gotten the job if
Was she the one that real did good. Killing? It was Killing Eve and.
Oh yeah, Killing Eve. Yep.
Man in the High Castle.
Man in the High Castle. Yeah.
I watched that one. That was really good. I like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch one or all of them. And then the director, Mark Mylod, is from how it's like they say he's gonna direct a few episodes, but I think he's kind of like the main guy, the main director. And with TV shows, you have other directors, guest directors, and that sort of thing. But he's worked on Succession, Game of Thrones, which is for me exciting because my vision of the TV show is kind of a mix between Game of Thrones and Downton Abbey. Kind of just the feel of it,
yeah.
action, and that sort of thing.
That's a really good way of putting it. That's a great way of putting it.
So that's my
a
hope.
little bit of
And,
Bridgerton.
yeah, with well, maybe a little less Bridgerton and a little less of some parts of Game
A
of
little
Thrones.
less Game of Thrones. Yeah.
but the fact that he's worked on Game of
totally adult-rated show.
Oh Lord, please no.
Terrible. Just like blood everywhere, like that. Oh.
But just seeing that, the director has worked on Game of Thrones, made me kind of excited. It's like, maybe my vision, my selfish vision, which I'm sure other people have too, might be, coming to fruition. But so those are the news bits. It's a lot happened in the last week, and a lot happened today too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
Busy.
it's kind of funny because we've had not a lot of news lately, and then it just all hit at once.
Exploded. Yeah. Came out of nowhere.
Yep.
It's typically how it goes, though, and it usually always happens the day we record or the day before we record. We sit around all week and we're like, nothing's happened. Oh yeah.
Oh, we can do this. Oh,
how
this.
about,
Oh, that.
How about this? Yeah.
Everything's
I'm really
happened.
looking forward to this show.
I am too.
Do you remember when I did
I am three.
group reaction on MuggleNets in
Yes.
Twitter,
Yeah.
whatever?
Yes.
And I was the only one of 7 people that was interested and excited for this show, and I was just really surprised by that. How could everyone be so negative about this? Where I just thought immediately that this is such a great opportunity for them to complete an entire beginning of book 1 to the end of book 7 show when all the material is out. They can plan for all of it at one time. They know the important plot points to hit. They don't want to omit anything that comes back later that's important, like they did at the movies. They're like, oh, we don't know if this guy's going to be important, we're going to cut him. Turns out he is, so we have to introduce him really quickly in a rush in the 7th movie. So I'm just really excited for that opportunity to kind of have everything just more cohesive storytelling, and
I think
really highlight the plot points that are really important, as well as those minor plot points that we just missed out completely because of trying to fit an entire book into a 2.5-hour movie. It just doesn't work when the book is that long.
No.
I think because it's cohesive, right? Because it's put out by Max, but also it has the potential to be flexible as well. There's nothing that's saying whoever they cast as the 11-year-old boy Harry Potter has to be the same actor all the way through. Because if you watch Game of Thrones, which I'm a huge Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon person, House of the Dragon, the first season has 3 different actors for the young children that are in it, because it shows different timelines. So it shows them when they're young and they're these actors, and then when they're teenagers they're these actors, and as they get older they're these actors, but you still love them just the same because you love the way that the actors portrayed it. So I feel like it has that flexibility, whereas if someone were to do that, or anytime there was a situation in the Harry Potter movies where they had to change an actor because if someone passed away or whatever the case may be, or if someone was in jail, and they couldn't use a certain actor, they got a lot of backlash, I feel like when Michael Gambon came on and took over for Dumbledore, everyone was looking at it with a fine-tooth comb and a magnifying glass. And I feel like because it's HBO, it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to be able to watch along with the series, and they're going to have there's going to be a cohesive component to it because it's going to be put out all by one production, but it has like that flexibility where things can change over the years when they put them out, because not for nothing, like they are notorious for putting years between their seasons. So if one season is one book, we might get season 1, which is Sorcerer's Stone, in 2026, but then not get Chamber of Secrets until 2028. And and then to watch an 11-year-old like age, you know, like they're going to age a lot faster than it's going to take them to actually put the show out. So, I mean, I'm excited to see like what they're going to do differently, who they're going to cast, and how it's going to turn out, and just to be able to experience Harry Potter again from the beginning in a completely different medium. Like, that's always exciting, because we know the books backward and forward. We all know the movies backward and forward as well, but it's getting to relive it all over again. So I think that's really exciting.
Also,
That's
the
gonna be-
idea
yeah,
of like
it's gonna be
release
exciting.
parties, or like when a new season starts, or like the first show. That's something we
Oh,
haven't got to
yeah.
experience since the books came out. Or like, you know, I had friends. Well, actually, I didn't. My cousin's friends. My cousin's older than I am, but they did go over to like watch parties of like Friends, the TV show or something, when they would have a new episode. You know, stuff like that we get to do if we want to. We haven't got to do anything like that with this fandom really since movies or the new books came out, and that's been a while. So that's really exciting.
I really hope they release this like they did with Game of Thrones, where it still comes out on a weekly basis with one episode at a time. I so the part of the coolest thing about Game of Thrones to me, besides it just being an awesome show, was that you had to wait a week. It was so how things used to be with TV. Not just, you know, here's all 13 episodes, go watch them in a row on a Sunday, or skip work on a Monday and watch them all. Like, you had to, if you wanted to watch it, you had to stay up Sunday night, watch it at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, depending on your time zone, and that was it. And everyone was experiencing it at the same time. And then, you know, an hour after, everyone's texting each other, you're talking about it the next day at work. That was just so cool. Like, it really brought a whole bunch of people together, because it would be like, are you watching Game of Thrones? Yeah, me too. What do you think's going to happen about this? And like, that doesn't really happen as much anymore, because typically it's like, hey, have you watched this show? No. Well, I've watched the entire season because it came out 3 days ago, so you should watch the entire season and then let me know when you're done and we'll talk about it. Like, it doesn't really have the same, I don't know, it doesn't spark up the same like water cooler type conversations that we can all experience together. It's still like you're experiencing it, but you're experiencing it in isolation. Whereas when things came out at the same time on the same day for everybody, it was really more of a community event that everyone was looking forward to and everyone was experiencing. And that was just a really cool feeling that you don't really get in 2024 with other things.
I would be shocked if they didn't do weekly episodes. That's kind of more of a Netflix thing. Binge watching is more Netflix.
Yeah.
Any like big show on HBO, or I guess now Max, is a weekly basis thing. Disney Plus is now weekly. And even Netflix seems to be going away from that a little bit too. Where they cut the third Bridgerton season in half. So they released 4 episodes, and then you had to wait 2 months or a month or whatever, and they released the next 4. So I think that's something that we might be, which I love binging, you know. So it's like, I like Netflix when they release the entire series and I just watch, or a season, and I just watch all the episodes. I wouldn't want to do that with Harry Potter. I think I would want that anticipation for the next week, like you were talking about, and that fun of talking about the episode for the week, and how are they going to show this next part, you know, next week. And so I'd be surprised, and I'm also on the same wavelength as you, Eric. I think that would be really, really fun, and I hope they do stick with a weekly basis sort of thing. 10 seasons
Plus, it
too.
gets you to subscribe for more than a month.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have to subscribe for like 6 months. Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be a big moneymaker for Max. Big moneymaker.
I would
Like,
not
crazy.
be surprised if they increase their monthly
Oh, I wouldn't be
subscription
surprised.
price.
Would not
I'm
be
sure they
surprised.
would.
Yeah. Yeah. So 10
Either
seasons.
that, or it's a part of.
It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carly.
I was just gonna say, I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a part of like a premium subscription or something like that, where,
Yeah.
you know, or something like that. You can, you know how like Prime and Hulu and all of this, you can watch these shows, but you have to be subscribed to this part.
Yeah. It's gonna be fascinating. It's gonna be really interesting. There's a lot to talk about with this TV show. I mean, we don't really have a main segment, do we? So we could talk for like maybe 5 more minutes about it, and then move on to the tops.
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. Because, I mean, when the show comes out, you know, all of us are going to be sitting there texting each other.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I'll text you guys when the episode's over.
Well, yeah,
I'm
of
going to
course.
write you all a letter during the
Yeah.
show. In the mail.
Well, I'm going to be on silent then. I'm going to be do not disturb.
Oh
No
yeah,
one talk
I know.
to me.
I have a special like setting on my phone because I'm so ridiculously into Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and like House of the Dragon just came back. We just had our second episode of that. So like when it's 9:00, it's like everything stops in my house. We go into our basement that has like our surround sound TV, all the lights are off, and like our attention is so focused. But we were like that with Game of Thrones too. Like, and it was also like a big night. Sunday night, it was our best friend would come over. We would all sit around on the couch and we'd all watch it together. I had a chalkboard up with our theories of things, which we have that for House of the Dragon too, with like family trees and who has what dragon to keep track of everything. Like, granted, Harry Potter is a little bit different because it's a story that we're very, very familiar with, but just the way that they're going to do this, I feel like that's something that we're all so eager for to see. Like, you know, I feel like Max has such like a high budget for shows like this where it knows that okay, this show is going to bring us a lot of money, so we are going to invest a lot into it. Like, we are going to see these magical creatures that are going to look insanely spectacular. We are going to see Game of Thrones-esque dragons as Norbert in this first episode. Like, we're going to, like, Fluffy is going to look so insanely cool. We're going to get to see trolls that look how, you know, J.K. Rowling wanted them to look. I remember one of the directors like making a comment about the biggest regret in the Harry Potter movies, or one of the biggest regrets, is how Grop turned out, like in the fifth movie, and how it's just like and how difficult it was to do the CGI for like centaurs, and like that technology is so old in comparison to what they're able to do now. So being able to see what they're going to come up with for things like Fluffy, for mountain trolls, for the trolls that are going to be in this whole thing, how Voldemort's gonna look, like all of those things are things I'm super, super eager to see, or how like Diagon Alley is gonna look. We don't know. It's not gonna be the same as the movies. Like, it's not going to be the Diagon Alley that, like, okay, this is the picture that I have in my head. It's Mina Lima's Diagon Alley. It's the one that I visit in Universal Studios. Like, we don't know if it's going to be that. It might be something completely different. And
I hope it is.
I hope it is too. I hope it is too. Like, I want to like fall in love with something completely different, and I want to be able to picture something completely different and experience something completely different, because that's how we're going to do it all over again, you know?
I'm so excited, honestly, for the first of book 4, when they come out of the Dursleys' chimney to get Harry. I want to see that so bad, and I know that they're going to do it so well. So, like, there's certain parts that I can't wait. And Peeves is probably going to be included.
Peeves, yes.
You know, there's so many.
SBEW.
That. The twins shenanigans
Cafe.
in book 5. You know, there's so many
and
different things
a real Deathly Hallows ending, how it should have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's great is
I'm really excited.
So J.K. Rowling is heavily involved. She's an executive producer. She still owns creative control. She interviewed the director and the showrunner. So the fact that she's involved is great. I mean, Yeah, maybe she's made some errors in the past with writers, hence the cursed child. But but she's still gonna she's not gonna let her babies do poorly, or her stories they're not gonna be tarnished. So I'm very excited.
Well, especially because these are literally, the show is literally advertised as being true to the books. Like, that is the number one selling point to this show, is that, hey guys, you watch these movies and I know that you liked these movies, but I know that there was stuff that was missing and you guys didn't like that. So this is what we're giving you. Now we're giving you what you've wanted. You wanted a show where every episode is a chapter of the book. Here you go. And it's going to have everything in it. So I'm expecting nothing less than that. And I think we're all expecting that.
I just think of the Series of Unfortunate Events show on Netflix with Neil Patrick Harris, where they did each book in that series with 2 episodes per book. And each of the books in that series is relatively the same length. So, 2 episodes for one book is pretty manageable. And that was one of the most well done, true to the source material, like TV adaptations of a book that I've ever witnessed. And I loved it because I loved that series growing up. I still do. I think all the acting was great. The plot made sense because they could include everything. They got to include all the things that were just wacky in the books, that were unnecessarily depressing just because they could. Whereas in the Jim Carrey movie, they're just like, we'll just throw some stuff together and call it good. But I'm really, if they do something that's as good as that, that's all I can ask for. That's just awesome.
I'm also interested in how the merch is going to change.
That's a good question.
Because
separate line of merch, new Lego.
Will the seasons be titled after the books, or is it just going to be called Harry Potter?
Is each episode going to be a the chapter title? This episode is called The Boy Who Lived.
Book 5 is going to be multiple seasons.
If episode 1 is not called The Boy Who Lived, I'm not watching it. Just kidding. I'll still watch it.
I can't wait to see how Umbridge looks.
I know.
We got years to find out.
Speaking of Umbridge.
And how she looks.
Carly, why don't you take us into the tots?
There is a wonderful book, the Finnish book 5. Mika Launis is the cover artist, and he is one of the few cover art illustrators who actually depicted Umbridge on the covers. I can't think of that many that have Umbridge on the cover. And his depiction of Umbridge is really great. It is by far one of my favorites. She very much looks like a toad on the cover. He nailed it. And that was one of the bigger descriptors that Joe used for describing Umbridge, was she looked like a toad, or her toad-like face, things like that. And I feel like I sometimes feel like illustrators don't always read the books that they're illustrating, and I feel like this one definitely did. Just because of, or at least enough to know what's going on to depict the cover, and he did a great job.
You don't even notice the person being Levi Corpus in the background.
That's Snape.
Oh, no.
It's all about Umbridge.
Yep.
You don't notice ankle hoisting Snape in the background.
Well, you could also think that it's a bit about Harry, because Harry's on the cover twice.
Yeah.
No, one of them is James. It's James Potter doing Levi Corpus on Snape.
I mean, okay.
Because the pensive's in the front.
Yes, you're right. Obviously, but
No, I know it looks just like him, but it is Harry's
at first
dad.
glance. Huh.
Look at
Obviously you're right. Now that you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. But
I thought that was a
realize
spider
that.
and not Snape. So, there we are.
Goodness.
Spider jumping off of one of the characters' nose.
No, off of
taking out
Umbridge. Like, she's just so horrible that
she's just so
spiders
horrible,
follow her.
Spiders jumping off.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, look at her hand.
these
Look at her
books-
hand on
know.
Harry's shoulder.
I know.
Oh,
I
it's
know.
creepy.
I know.
I always
Such-
wonder what's behind the part that says the name of the book, like where it would say Order of the Phoenix. There's like that oblong, kind of oval-shaped sticker. It reminds me of like Monsters Inc. when they like put Mike Wazowski on the magazine, but then they put like the
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
the barcode over him.
Yeah.
It's like because there was something under there. They didn't, the artist didn't just leave a blank space. So I'm always like, oh, is there like a secret something under there? I don't know. I think about that with all the books, not just this Finnish one, but
I mean, look at the
was
Philosopher's
picturing
Stone artwork.
Mike Wazowski.
Yeah.
we only got half of Thomas Taylor's original artwork. It's just
True.
it's funny. Anyway, sorry.
True. You're fine. So a bit about the book. The book is translated by Yana Kapari Yata, published by Tammy, and Finnish is spoken by the majority of the population in Finland and by ethnic Finns outside of Finland. Finnish is one of 2 official languages of Finland alongside Swedish, and there are about 5 million native speakers. Interestingly, about book 5, this was the last book I needed to complete my set of 7. It was the hardest one for me to find, and I've ran into other collectors who are collecting the full set of these because they're all so fun, right? Like, even people who usually collect book 1, they want the full set of these Finnish covers because they are so much fun. And I've ran into quite a few people that have had a hard time finding this 5th book around. So I don't know if less were printed, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or if people just love them so much they don't want to sell them, which I can understand.
Same.
Well, and Finnish has been republished multiple times with different cover art too. So I don't
Yes.
think this cover art is still
It's not in print anymore.
being produced. So I think this was the hardest one for me to acquire also. I think it was the most expensive one in my Finnish book collection too. But yeah, you just hear people that are like, I want the one with the toad Umbridge on the front because it's just a hoot.
Speaking of
it's
hoots,
a hoot.
there's an owl.
Yeah,
There's an
I
owl on the back.
Nailed it, Eric.
So
he didn't
it
even
is
know.
a
He didn't even know
hoot.
he nailed it. It is a hoot. Yeah, on the back there's is an owl illustration of I can't speak. Illustration of Hedwig.
Yep. Way to nail that. Anything else about the books before we get into the tot scale? I guess we can discuss a bit about the rarity and value. We touched on it, but we didn't go there.
Oh, go there. I think you should.
I agree. I bought mine.
I dare you to go there.
I got my copy in 2017-18, so my value, I think I paid $40 and like 15 shipping, so 55 something for the book, and it was dollars, not euros.
I couldn't tell you.
Not
So
euros,
long ago
but
when I got mine, I do not remember.
whatever they use in Finland.
They use the euro.
Okay. I do know these particular Finnish books because like we've said just a minute ago, Finnish has been reprinted with multiple different covers, but these are the covers that people want when they want Finnish books. I do know that there are smaller paperback versions of the Finnish books with these covers as well, but I've only seen them. Yeah, I had one for a while. I sold it to someone on the Discord. Yeah,
well, I don't have those, which is
Wait,
not
what?
good.
They're the size of the adult edition cover art. So yeah, there are paperback versions of these as well.
With these actual covers.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate that I don't have them, so now I'm gonna have to find them.
Poor unfortunate souls.
I have the ISBN of the paperback on my website for book one.
Okay. I'll try to use it and find it.
And I randomly got it on eBay. I saw it up for sale for like $15, thinking it was a hardcover, and that's how I found out that soft covers were made. Yeah. So they do exist, but this is what people want. So I know that drives up the value because they're no longer in print. It is unique cover art. So for people who collect unique cover art, this is something that, they want. Whereas the other Finnish books, I don't think they have unique cover art. I think they're all different covers that have appeared.
So I know that this isn't the first book, but I just popped on eBay real quick, and I'm only seeing either sets or book one. So book one sold for $70, and a full set sold for $275 back in April.
That's not bad. Not for a full set. Yeah,
it's not terrible for a full set, yeah. But for just one book, what do you think this one would be worth? Like for
I tend to go 75-70, I think feels appropriate, depending on condition. Also, we found out that not all of them have a ribbon bookmark. Mine has a ribbon bookmark.
I know.
So I guess that was a thing that came with later prints. Because my pre-movie Finnish does not have a ribbon bookmark, so I'm guessing later prints they put in a ribbon bookmark.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now I want to check my book one because I have both for book one.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be interesting to see. So I think 75-70. As far as hard to find, your best shot, honestly, may be buying a full set if that's how they're being sold right now. I mean, that's not $275. Is that with shipping or without?
I closed my phone, but that's also like the only one that was there, so it may have been someone who didn't know what they had and they underpriced it, or so that's kind of a hard way to determine.
Only that's $40 a book if you're not considering shipping. That's really not bad. Especially since book one will be valued typically a little bit higher because it's the first book, but I don't know, 75 feels appropriate for this guy right here. I would say all the Finnish books that feels appropriate for. So
cool.
Hard to find, getting harder to find because demand for these is pretty high because it falls outside of, it's different cover art. It's unique cover art only to these books. And it's ridiculously fun.
Oh, so fun.
Especially after Peter includes one of these in every one of his odd cover videos all the way through book 7.
Yeah.
More people will want them.
Yeah, every single one of those lists will include Finnish, without a doubt.
Yeah, they have to.
Oh, yeah, because they're, understandably.
You can't see that cover and have a bad day. Like, you just can't. And the spines are even delightful. The backside, everything is so much fun about it.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that in mind, let's put it through. Yeah, let's put it through the top scale. I'm curious to see how we go. Well, that's disappointing.
Well, we are smelling it first. That's what we do. We smell books.
We give it a good old smell test.
I am torn. I kind of like it, but I also... It also smells kind of musty and damp, but I kind of like it. So I don't know.
Mine?
I hate going first. I'm going to give it an... Wait for it. I'm giving it an A because I don't know why.
I'm giving it a big old fat D. It is dreadful. I smelled that and that was the word that came to mind.
Mine smells chemically, so it's like I still can smell the glue. But although I feel like there's still glue, but it looks, it's not sewn in. There's glue. I can smell the glue. So for me, that's a D as well. Okay. Big old D.
I I like it.
I like it too.
I was
I'm
gonna
with you
give
on
it
that.
an exceeds expectations. I actually really like it.
Does yours
That's
have a
not
ribbon
bad.
bookmark?
Mine does not have a ribbon bookmark.
Maybe they bound them differently because mine does.
Well, I
Mine
don't
does
like
too, but I
mine,
like mine.
and mine does not.
Oh, well then,
So Mel and
I
I are
don't-
on opposite ends of
yeah.
the scale.
We're not usually this divided. So I'm curious, like maybe the paper they used absorb odor really well or something like that.
Or that this is just a very subjective activity that we're doing.
Well, there's also that. Let's talk about size and proportions. I love the size and proportions, so it gets like outstanding.
I agree. I'm giving it an outstanding. It's a big book, but it is sized well with good
It
proportion.
handles it
I
beautifully.
like it a lot.
Yeah, it's just acceptable for me. It's because it's such a smaller book, because it's such a big book, it's almost too small. You know, like if you compare it to Order of the Phoenix, by Scholastics, the U.S. edition, it's like as thick as this, but it's just so much taller. There's more space to grab onto it, and I know that's kind of going into the how it feels in your hand, but it is true for size and proportion for me that it's just unacceptable. It's just doesn't feel great.
I have to agree. I think I'm giving it an acceptable based on its pure audacity to exist and be as big as it is. Because if you think about it, like, okay, we probably didn't game plan this, and length by width, we made the books this size for the first 4 books, and it kind of worked out. But then we got to book 5, they had to stick to the length by width, which I appreciate. I like that they're all the same height. When you look at them on your shelf, they're all the same height. That's nice. But this book is so wide because it's Order of the Phoenix, and it just I just feel like it just doesn't hold up because it is so wide.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to book shame.
No, that's why I love it, is because of how ridiculously wide it is. So it's the same reason. I just think it's really awesome. How does it feel in your hand? I know we've already kind of touched on this, but we can go further into it now.
I love it. I think it feels great. I like the texture of the cover. For being a big book, I don't think it's excessively heavy. I think it opens well. I think it's bound well when it opens. The margins are really great. So even though it's a huge book, you open it up and you can see everything that you need to see. I think the pages feel really great. I really like it. I am giving it an outstanding. I think this book feels awesome. I would love to actually be able to read it because I would thoroughly enjoy reading this massive book, and it doesn't feel massive to me. I know that we talked about that with size and proportions. It doesn't feel as big to me as I think some other books in the German series do. And I like that it's smaller, but that's just a personal preference. Like everything else on this scale. Except for X Factor, that's objective. Cold hard facts for X Factor.
I'm gonna give it an outstanding as well. I love it for the same reasons you said. I love that the spine moves with the book, so it handles the weight of the book really well. Sometimes you get these giant books and the text block starts to creep out or fall out of them, and this one isn't going to do that. They've bound it really, really well. You can read it, you can open it up all the way, and it doesn't damage the spine. They've thought through things. They're a really good bookmaker.
So my book is on my table. I hate how it feels in my hand. It's a troll. I'm serious.
Wow.
I'm gonna give
Why do
it
you
a
hate
troll.
it? Why do you hate it?
It is so uncomfortable in my hands. I don't know why. Like it hurts my forearms. Like I don't even want to hold it. It's crazy. I don't know why, but it's I think it's at least dreadful, if not troll, for me.
It's the essence of umbrage that bothers you.
Maybe. This
Who's that
is
man
a book
crying
that should just
on the
stay
train?
on a shelf. It's a book that should just stay on the shelf and never be read. I'm sorry. It's just I don't like how it feels. I don't like it.
You just have to hire someone else to walk around in front of you holding it open,
That would be fine.
or get like a lectern and just stand there and fold it open.
Which would do well.
It would fold open well.
I don't know. I'll give it just an acceptable for how it feels in my hands. It's so cumbersome. It really, really is. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there have been spines in the past that like are as wide as this, but they're so much more proportionate to the book, and that makes it feel a lot more comfortable in your hand. I'll just give it an acceptable. Acceptable, and we'll move on.
And quality of the book.
For being as big as it is, I know my corners are dented, but I can tell that's because of shelf wear and use, so I'm going to ding it some points for that. But it holds together really well. I think it's bound really well. Like you just mentioned, this publisher makes really good books. In terms of like looking at the size, you're like, how is this book not going to fall apart? It would exceed my expectations. I would think it wouldn't do what it's doing. So I am giving it an E for exceeds expectations. Because yeah, it doesn't look like it should work, but it does.
Yeah. Mine, I was very fortunate that my books, my all 7 really I don't know that this one's even been read. So I don't know how it would hold up to being read and read well. So I'm going to say, and my corners are beautifully sharp, like pointy sharp, all of them. So my quality, and the boards are nice and heavy. The spine is beautiful. Like my quality, I'm just going to have to say is outstanding. But I don't know how it would stand up to wear, being honest.
The only reason this book is not getting an outstanding is because the cloth that's kind of glued to the book to hold all the pages in place wasn't attached correctly on the top or the bottom, so it's a little mine has
different cloth.
Oh, really?
Mine is red.
Mine's red.
Mine looks like Erik's.
But the only reason that it's not getting an outstanding, because this is a quality book in my opinion, I think it's super well made, is because of that little mishap on my copy.
Huh.
So exceeds expectations.
Can you show me yours?
Yeah.
Like, can you hold it up? What you're talking about? Yeah,
Mine
I
looks
have that
like
exact same
Erik's.
thing. Huh?
Yours has the same
Peter
thing,
and
though?
Yeah,
Okay,
I was
yeah.
gonna say literally word for word verbatim what you said. Like, I feel like the quality of this book, for it being as big as it is great, except for that lift that you see in the cloth and the binding. And I feel like it's not this book's fault. Like, it can't help it. It's like at the end of the day when you have to like unbutton your jeans because you ate too much. Like, that's
It's just such a big book.
Help it.
like,
Yeah.
it can't help
you can't
it.
help it.
It can't help it. And not for nothing, being like 20 something weeks pregnant, like I feel like I relate to this book on a level. Like, I just want to get home and I want to unbutton my pants at the end of the day. And I feel like being this book is as big as it is, it just needs to breathe. Like, she just needs a minute. So I get it.
So you're giving it an
I
outstanding?
completely agree. Yeah, for quality. Like, I agree
Okay,
with you.
yeah.
I feel like it's great. It's just like for that one little thing, you know?
Yeah.
That's it. It's not its fault. It's trying so hard.
I think I'm just making a prediction for the next tot scale rating. I think everyone's going to be an O. That's just my prediction. I'll see if I'm right or wrong.
I can't wait.
I mean, we can go there now. What do we think of the cover art, you guys?
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Outstanding for me too. Yep.
Yeah,
Same,
it's
So
obviously
good.
outstanding. It's so
That's
good.
a solid ooh.
Ooze all around.
It is. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a favorite. What do we think? What's the X factor?
The ribbon bookmark. No, I'm kidding. It's Umbridge on the front.
I was about to say ribbon bookmark.
No, usually the ribbon bookmark is an X factor, but not in this case. They could
No.
put 10 ribbon bookmarks in here, and it's still Umbridge on the front. I don't know why you would need 10 ribbon bookmarks, but you never know. Maybe you have 10 people sharing the same book.
There's
Nope,
lots
definitely
of
Umbridge
chapters.
on the
Maybe
front.
they're different, reading different parts.
about you,
I'm gonna
Carly?
have to. It's the same. Like, it's got Umbridge on the cover. How can you not want to own it? And she looks like a toad.
Same. Umbridge on the front. It's my X factor.
Huh. I feel like my X factor has to be the fact that up until today, I thought it was two Harrys on the front. And I thought that was like equally as ridiculous as the fact that there's like Toad Umbridge on the front cover. I was like, oh my God, that's so funny that like Umbridge is a toad, but why is Harry on there twice? Actually, I know I'm changing it. Changing my X factor. I love that the publisher is written as the ancient runes on the pensieve. I think that is really cool. I noticed that before. And I know that the other Finnish books hide the name of the publisher on the cover in like similar fashion, but like that is very cool because it like even the letter T like looks like a rune. And I think that that's very cool. So that's my X factor.
very
But
clever.
not a rune, our friend who translates the Yiddish books.
No, different. This is
different
runes versus a rune.
Right. I think all of these covers look like a fever dream, honestly. Like 1 through 7. Like,
Fever dreams are the worst. Oh my
crazy.
goodness.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, can you imagine? You're like dreaming about your dad, like doing the Levi Corpus to Snape, but then you get this like hand on your shoulder and you turn around and it's that. And you're like,
It's that. It's that looking at you.
right? Like terrifying.
Yeah. Yep. And such fun covers, all of them. And
They're pretty great.
yeah, they are.
I always say like this is the set that like got me to collect full sets of unique cover art because I just loved this art so much. So that's what like really got me to expand my collection and got me into cover art in general. And if you want to see cover art like this, I can tell you a whole bunch of places that you could do that. One of them is alltheprettybooks.net. That's Carly's website. You can also do it at dialoguealley.com. We're constantly in the process of adding stuff to our website, adding new covers and things. I'm finally like off from work the next week and a half, so it's on my list to really like hunker down and get more images on our website for you. So we've got that. And you can always go to Peter's website, which is thepottercollector.com. And if you see things on there that you have questions about, there are different ways that you can reach out to us. So you could do that by following all of us or messaging us on Instagram. Carly is at All the Pretty Books. Eric is at Nocturne Eric. I'm at the Harry Potter Collection. Peter is at the Potter Collector. And you can follow this podcast or message us directly for this podcast at Dialogue Alley Podcast. We're also on Twitter. We're on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. You can watch some amazing videos about a lot of the news that we referred to today on Peter's YouTube channel, The Potter Collector. And And that's where you're going to see, like, if you want to see this drone show that we were talking about, or Hogwarts, is it Hogwarts Always, or it's Hogwarts Always, right? Yeah, so if you want to see that too, like, you can see that on Peter's YouTube channel. And he's doing, like, such a cool series right now on these Harry Potter books of, like, interesting, funky, weird covers. So, like, this is very likely to come up for book 5. So
it will.
Stay tuned.
Spoiler alert, it will.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for that.
The video just cuts to like the 20 minutes of us talking about this book, and then just cuts right to It's like you just like your mouth just like moves. It's like a static image.
But it's you guys talking. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And in addition to all of these other social medias, another way that you can reach out to us is through our Discord, which you can participate in by subscribing to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/dialoguealley. Peter also has a Discord, which you can hop on to as well. And there's a Dialogue Alley tab on his Discord, which you can reach out to us on that. There's so many ways to get in contact with us. It's just crazy.
It's crazy.
But crazy. But our Discord has like a lot of extra bonus things that you can have access to and resource channels and things. But our Patreon, you can also get free episode or ad-free episodes and bonus episodes and things like that. I just told Erik what I'm planning on doing for my bonus episode that I'm gonna do this week, which I'm super stoked about. So lots of cool stuff on there. But for now, it is time to walk back through the archway and into your daily lives. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.